My friend, hear me this morning. Life will not always announce when it is about to shift. But every time God prepares to elevate you, he allows something to push you backward so he can launch you further than you imagine. What looked like a setback was never a defeat. It was calibration. It was repositioning. It was the tension necessary for divine propulsion. And the word in my spirit for you today is this. God said your setback was a setup. You didn't lose. You were not abandoned. You were not disqualified. Heaven has simply been rearranging the path beneath your feet. You woke up today wondering why things slowed down right when you were getting momentum. You are asking why you faced resistance when you were finally making progress. You're wrestling with confusion because the doors you expected didn't open. And the opportunities you counted on collapsed. But you must hear this with clarity. What looks like a pause is actually preparation. What feels like a detour is precise direction. What appeared to be a breakdown was actually the blueprint for breakthrough. Setbacks do not mean God said no. Setbacks often mean God said, not this way. I have a better route prepared. Some of you are grieving things you thought were permanent, not realizing God removed them because they were too small for where he has taken you. You're fighting to understand why people walked away, why doors closed, why plans unraveled, why relationships ended, why opportunities fell apart. But heaven is whispering, if I had allowed it to continue, it would have limited your destiny. Sometimes what you call a loss is actually a rescue. Sometimes what you mourn is the very thing heaven celebrated, because God saw what you couldn't see. He saw the trap ahead. He saw the limitation hiding beneath the surface. He saw the emotional strain you would have carried. He saw the spiritual danger you didn't discern, and he allowed the setback because it was the only way to redirect your path without destroying your spirit. Your setback was a setup. Your disappointment was divine appointment in disguise. Your delay was destiny rearranging itself around your obedience. Your pain was preparation, and your confusion is about to become clarity. Some of you feel like your life has been dismantled. Your plans fell apart. Your expectations collapsed. The thing you trusted broke. You had a timeline and it expired. You had a strategy and it failed. You had a direction and it reversed. But listen to me, when God dismantles something, it is only because he's rebuilding something stronger. When he interrupts your rhythm, it is because he is preparing a new tempo. When he empties your hands, it is because he intends to fill them with more than they could hold before. Nothing in your life broke without heaven already preparing the blueprint for restoration. You didn't expect the job loss or the financial pressure. You didn't expect the relationship disappointment. You didn't expect the betrayal, the heartbreak, the setback in health, the emotional burnout, the season of being overlooked, the feeling of being stuck. You didn't expect the breakdown of the things you depended on, but none of it caught God off guard. Every piece of your setback is part of a bigger architecture. You must understand a principle: God never subtracts without multiplying later. The loss you felt is nothing compared to the gain being prepared. And if you could see what heaven is arranging behind the scenes, you would understand that the setback was never meant to break you, only to shape you. Some setbacks are engineered to protect you, some to strengthen you, some to awaken you. some to reposition you, some to humble you, some to qualify you. But all of them push you closer to purpose. You think you've been wandering, but you've actually been guided. You think you've been blocked, but you've actually been redirected. You think you've been pushed down, but you've actually been pushed into alignment. You think you're losing time, but you're actually being synchronized with destiny. Setbacks are often confirmation, not contradiction. This is why your spirit feels tension, because who you are becoming cannot fit inside the life you used to live. Purpose is stretching you. Destiny is pulling you. Your old environment cannot support your next level. And God used setback to extract you from comfort. When you prayed for growth, He used setback. When you prayed for clarity, He used setback. When you prayed for purpose, He used setback. When you prayed for strength, He used setback. When you prayed for new direction, He shut down the old one. You asked God to elevate you, and He answered. But elevation often comes disguised as frustration. It comes disguised as loss. It comes disguised as delay. Because breakthrough rarely looks like breakthrough at first. And that is where many people lose faith, in the misunderstanding of how God moves. Some of you are in the middle of the setup right now. You feel like everything familiar has shifted. You feel ground beneath you shaking. You feel a strange discomfort, a restlessness, an inner tug. You are not comfortable where you were, but you do not yet see where you are going. That is because you are in divine transition. You are no longer who you were, but you have not yet entered who you are becoming. This is the womb of purpose. This is the space where destiny is developed. This is the secret place where God molds the spirit, fortifies the character, and redefines identity. And while you think you are stuck, heaven sees you as being shaped. Do not panic during the setup. Do not misinterpret the silence. Do not assume the absence of activity is the absence of destiny. Some of the greatest moves of God begin in the shadows, in the quiet, in the waiting, in the stillness, in the unknown. And setbacks create silence so you can hear God again. Some of you have been overloaded mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You've been moving from task to task, expectation to expectation, responsibility to responsibility. You've been pouring out so much that you didn't realize how empty you became. So God allowed a setback to bring you back to stillness. Not to punish you, but to rescue you. Not to weaken you, but to restore you. Setbacks reveal what you've been ignoring. Setbacks expose what you've been carrying. Setbacks show you what you've been avoiding. Setbacks force you to evaluate what is no longer aligned with your future. Some of you were surrounded by the wrong people, and God used setback to show you their true nature. Some of you were holding on to relationships God never approved, and setback became separation. Some of you were relying on your own strength, and setback reminded you that your source is not your strategy, your source is God. Some of you were too comfortable, and setback was heaven shaking you awake. And some of you were moving fast in the wrong direction. So God abruptly stopped the motion to protect your destiny. You think you're behind schedule, but you're right on time. You think the setback slowed you, but all it did was align you. You think the setback disqualified you, but it actually prepared you. God will sometimes collapse what you built so that he can replace it with what he designed. Let me speak to the person who feels like they failed. You didn't fail, you learned. You evolved, you grew. You gained wisdom, resilience, discernment, and spiritual maturity. None of that could have been developed without the setback. There are certain strengths you only discover in weakness. Certain clarity you only find in confusion. Certain courage you only acquire through disappointment. Your setback developed what comfort never could. And now, because of what you've been through, you are stronger than you realize. You are wiser than you think. You are more spiritually grounded than you used to be. You pray differently. You discern differently. You make decisions differently. You see people differently. You listen to God differently. You are not the same person who entered the setback, and that is the point. Because God does not elevate the old version of you, he elevates the transformed version. The setback was the classroom. The setup is the graduation. But hear me, you must let go of the bitterness attached to the setback, because bitterness blocks the blessing. The setup is delivering. You must let go of the shame. Shame steals confidence. You must let go of comparison. Comparison kills clarity. You must forgive yourself for what you didn't know then, because you know it now. You must stop replaying the disappointment in your mind, because your spirit needs room to dream again. Let go of what the setback did emotionally, so you can embrace what the setup is doing spiritually. Some of you have been carrying disappointment like a weight. You've questioned your ability. You've questioned your value. You've questioned your timing. You've questioned your purpose. But listen, God trusted you enough to allow the setback, because he knew the setup would require a stronger version of you. And you becoming that version right now. You are being rebuilt. You are being recalibrated. You are being realigned. You are being renewed. You are being repositioned. You are being restored. Your setback was a setup, and soon you will see why. You will look back and say, if that didn't fall apart, I would have never discovered what God had for me. You will say, if that door didn't close, I would have walked into something that would have crushed me. You will say, if that person didn't leave, I would have never grown into who I am today. You will say, if that plan didn't fail, I would have never surrendered to God's plan. And you will say, the thing I cried over was the very thing that saved me. Your tears were not wasted. Your pain was not ignored. Your prayers were not neglected. The God who sees in secret has been orchestrating every detail of your development. Every moment was accounted for. Every setback was measured. Every delay was purposeful. Every disappointment was strategic. And the greater the setback, the greater the setup. This is why the resistance has been strong, because the reward will be significant. This is why the warfare has been intense, because the breakthrough will be undeniable. This is why the pressure has been heavy, because the anointing on your life is increasing. You cannot carry this next level with old strength. You needed this refining. You needed this shaking. You needed this pruning. You needed this stretching. A bow must be pulled backward before it releases an arrow forward. If life didn't pull you back, you would have never reached the distance destiny requires. So instead of mourning the setback, start thanking God for the setup. Start preparing your mind for what's coming. Start expecting movement. Start expecting alignment. Start expecting open doors. Start expecting divine connections. Start expecting strength to rise. Start expecting clarity to break forth. Start expecting answers to unfold. Start expecting provision to align, because the setup is already in motion. And when God sets you up, nothing, no person, no attack, no delay, no opinion can interfere with what he's orchestrating. You're closer than you think. Your comeback is not coming, it has already begun. Your restoration is not future, it is unfolding. Your breakthrough is not distant, it is approaching. Your setup is not theoretical, it is active. And soon, what confused you will make sense. What hurt you will heal you. What delayed you will accelerate you. What broke you will build you. This is your moment to stand firm in faith, not fear. To walk in expectation, not exhaustion. To trust the process, not question your worth. To release the past, not rehearse the pain. Your setback was the setup, and the setup is about to reveal the version of you that heaven has been preparing all along. You are ready, more ready than you feel. You are aligned, more aligned than you realize. You are strengthened, more strengthened than you see. And you are stepping into a season where the purpose behind the pain becomes clear. When the setup is complete, heaven will open doors no setback could close, and you will testify. What I thought was the worst season of my life was actually the beginning of the best.